time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shine.
All right. It's Monday night. It's your boy Dave from the 408. The return of the Shoe Shine, where friends from around the country, actually from around the world, get together to talk about the sweet science, the sport of boxing that we love so much. Joining me as always, all the way from the city of brotherly love, is my homeboy, Philly Irish Drew Evo. Que pasa? What's going on, homie?
What's up, Dave?
What's going on, Drew? You might want to turn the gain up on your mic just a little bit, and I'll turn down this music a bit, man. But listen, man, this week, last week, I fucking went nuts. I have to be honest with you, man. I was telling you, I didn't realize I hate to lose, you know? And I can kind of understand somebody like Deontay Wilder, who had to go through everything he did in that second fight, coming to grips, but even coming to grips with what happened the third time and having to finally issue a statement on Instagram, giving credit where credit is due to Tyson Fury. I'm still mad about what happened to us on that TV show, the co-host on Twitch TV. I was still mad all of last week. I'm like, damn, how am I going to come up short? How am I going to be second best? How do I do it? Like, when I knew I had a chance to win that, I wanted it. You know what I'm saying? And it was bothering me all week. And then Thursday rolled around. And I don't watch baseball like every day religiously. You know, it's over 100 games a year. But when your team, a team that, you know, the Giants, I grew up watching the Giants. They're dear to me. 3 World Series in 10 years. I swore them being the best baseball team in all of baseball, going up against the Dodgers, second best, right? Here's the theme, second best. I knew it'd be competitive, but man, I didn't see that coming. And with that rivalry that the Giants and the Dodgers have, that's a hard pill to swallow. So Thursday really sucked. I mean, sucked all weekend. Actually, I'm losing my voice, so I apologize, Drew. All right, enough baseball talk, Drew. How was your birthday weekend, man? Happy birthday.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
What's that? Your birthday?
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Did you have a good one, though?
It was all right.
It was all right. Let's say hello to some people who just dropped by in the chat. Thank you for coming by the Shoe Shine. El Chido Boxing. Saludos. Yeah, for sure. And Bella Bling. You won that, Dave. She was given a gift decision. Thank you very much. I got to let go, though. For reals, Drew. I got to let it go now. It's time to move on. I'm still over here with bad feelings about that. Oh, I won that. But listen, man. There was some really good fights this weekend. We were treated to possibly fight of the year with Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3. And then this weekend, I think we saw upset of 2021. And of course, I'm talking about the title. Should Mikey Garcia retire or just lose weight? I can't see a bigger upset. And there was another upset on that same card, on the DAZN card. We had this guy, Edwin Soto from Mexico, who lost the junior flyweight championship to a Puerto Rican named Jonathan Gonzalez. And right away on Twitter, the Puerto Rican fans were letting us know, this is how many champions we have. This is how many champions you have. We just took another one. You know how it gets between the Puerto Rican and Mexican rivalry. But it all started with that Friday card, man. And shout out to Sonteo Media. And hopefully he comes by Sonteo Media. He went to the card on Friday night in San Diego at Top Rank. So did my friend Ray Cortez. Shout out to him on Twitter. That was a great card. I just need to know, Drew, of those 2 cards, who put on the better show?
Probably the Top Rank. I wasn't really into the Matchroom boxing card.
But listen, even Eddie Hearn came all the way out here to make sure that the product in the U.S., to put a stamp of approval. He was there all week, man.
But you want to know something? The last couple of shows of Eddie Hearn really at his house were really terrible. Tell you the truth, I fell asleep during one.
Yeah, can you imagine that being your backyard, Eddie Hearn, that you said at his house? Yeah, because one of his main events recently got canceled at one of those events that was at his house. But, funny thing is about Fresno, man, is I don't think they were prepared for that shit because the electricity went out during the main event. And even people in my household were commenting. They're like, damn, no disrespect to Fresno. They're a great fight town. All these champions, Jose Ramirez, and they bring a crowd, but the stadium didn't even have, like, the grass was dead, man. I'm like, oh, man. Chuck Chancellor Park, you got to get it together. Hey, by the way, Hispanic Heritage Month came and went, and I didn't get to wear this shirt. So I'm going to have a shot of tequila to loosen up. But Drew, yeah, let's talk about Friday night, because San Diego, the top ranked card was well put together. And actually, I really enjoyed the undercard. Santiago Media was telling me that, Robert Garcia had 6 of his fighters in the stable fighting over 2 days. They were very busy. I even read that Ellie Sekback was in the car. I'm not sure if that's true, that he rides with them. On Saturday, he drove from San Diego to Fresno with them. Ellie Sekback, the big star on YouTube. But the Friday card, the guy who impressed me the most, and there was a 6'9" Mexican American from Wisconsin. Did you see that heavyweight? It didn't last very long, but you want to talk about tall.
He didn't really show anything in that fight.
I think it was his pro debut, but I'm just shocked, man. Like 6'9", like it's probably a dream of every Mexican American to play basketball or NFL. Being 6'9", but he could be something. We don't know yet. We didn't really see much. That was just one of the fighters that Robert Garcia was bringing to the card. Of course, for me, the co-main event was a fantastic one, man. And this co-main event, it was fire, man. And I'm talking about Angel Ruiz, who follows us on Twitter from Tijuana. He actually had a huge upset on Ring City, USA, and he got the opportunity, come to find out, I don't think he even really has a promotional company, but he was fighting someone that's part of Robert Garcia's camp now, Giovanni Santiago, a local from San Diego. So it was San Diego versus TJ. The crowd ate up this fight, man. Let me get this, get the right video on this, but I really, really enjoyed that one. That was the fight that I enjoyed the most, to be honest.
Earned.
So, Drew, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully I didn't lose your audio right now, because when I play these videos, let me know if Drew's audio. But Giovanni Santiago is a welterweight, and who just kind of recently started working out with Robert Garcia's camp, and he's got some brutal uppercuts, man. And Angel Ruiz is a tough dog. He wasn't supposed to win this Ring City USA card, but he did. And apparently he broke his hand midway through this fight, but Giovanni Santiago, everything he did looked great on Saturday night. And he credits that to Robert Garcia and working out with Virgil Ortiz as a sparring partner, and, Mikey Garcia. That's some pretty good sparring partners, right? I mean, what better can you do than that? Were you impressed by this guy, Giovanni Santiago, by any chance, man?
Yeah, I was impressed. He has to have a good uppercut. It gets in there. When you think it's not going to get in there, it gets in there.
And because of that, now they think he's got a chance now to be ranked in the top 10. That puts him in an awkward position, man, because Virgil Ortiz is like the guy at welterweight for the Robert Garcia camp. But man, this guy was holding his own. I could really see him giving trouble to a whole bunch of guys at the welterweight division. I mean, who do you think he'd look good against? Now he's looking for a name. What's a good step-up fight for him?
Porter, probably. Maybe. I want to say Danny, because Danny's already moved up. Herrera, maybe Jesse Vargas.
If Jesse Vargas is still around, right? One of those older big names would be a good fight. You're actually right. Pulling one of these guys who's kind of semi-retired, or who's having a long layoff, who thinks he would get easy work, but they're not going to have an easy night against this guy, Giovanni Santiago, man. To me, he looked like a beast in the making. So anyways, the main event, man, let's talk about El Vaquero, because El Vaquero Navarrete has been in 2 really back-to-back vicious fights. And the thing about him is that Yoel Gonzalez, man, I was at that fight against Shakur Stevenson, who we're going to see on Saturday. And he made such easy work of Joet Gonzalez at. I don't think a lot of people thought he had a chance on Saturday night. Like, I think I even expressed my chance that this should be an easy walk in the park. But Joet Gonzalez, he really showed not only tremendous heart, but pretty much losing the majority of the rounds. He still came forward, man, with that bad busted eye and everything. So that just, I mean, what was your take on his performance?
It was a good performance, even though he was losing most of the rounds. Like you said, he was like he kept forward, but he took a lot of damage to his face. Like you see the eye that by the end of the fight. They said he didn't even go to the hospital after the fight. They should have at least took him to the hospital. So that's a big questionable decision, especially the way that eye is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think if there was any real concern, they would have. But yeah, oh no, he definitely. I'll just go back to that eye right now because I have the clip playing. But yeah, he really busted up that eye. You can see the blood swelling right underneath, and that thing was ready to pop. Man, that thing really looked bad. But to be honest, here's my thoughts on Navarrete, who's very exciting, and people were debating whether or not these two should get a rematch, man. I remember a time when there was a guy that Burchell had 2 fights against, also a Mexican fighter, Vargas, who also wore the hat. Well, Vargas is kind of semi-retired now, but they had, like, Burchell easily kind of won in a brutal fight. You know, these two guys really were made for each other. But after the second fight, like, it was so brutal. Like, it really took a lot out of Vargas. So you didn't see, he took a lot of head punishment, punches to the face, man. It really took a lot. Like, I don't even think he's going to fight professionally anymore, the Vargas that I'm talking about. But I wouldn't mind seeing them rematch, man. This is the kind of fights that I want to see people get a second crack at it. Because I think, you know, on another given night, man, we don't know if Navarrete could take that kind of punishment. Coming back from someone like Joet Gonzalez, who's that determined, you know? Like, let's run it back. It was close enough. Shout out to Run PMC. What's up, man? Thanks for coming by. We're really talking about this Navarrete versus Joet Gonzalez, because I think Joet Gonzalez, he surprised the hell out of me on Saturday night, giving one of the best fights I've ever seen him. I saw him fight against Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson made it look like easy work. And I thought that Joet Gonzalez, he really wasn't a special fighter, man. But no, I'm tripping. Joet Gonzalez merits a second crack at the champion, El Vaquero Navarrete. But even if they don't give them a rematch, and Drew, you still haven't told me, do you think these two should rematch?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's an entertaining fight. Like, when you see an entertaining fight, if people ask for it again, you make the fight again. But the only reason why they're probably not going to let it happen, because they're going to say, hey, never yet won most of the rounds. So why have another fight?
I think the official scorecard was 116-112 for 2 of the judges. One of them had it wide, which is, you know, it was okay, even though it was much wider. But 116-112 seemed really like a competitive scorecard, which makes a good argument, like, run it back. It don't have to be tomorrow. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. Actually, they probably deserve to get some easier fights. But at the end of the day, dude, I think Navarrete is headed into that Burchell territory where, like, everybody he's been fighting, including the Puerto Rican he fought Diaz last time, that guy went toe-to-toe with him too, man. They're kind of beating up his body. I don't know how long Navarrete can be a champion at 126 and take these grueling fights. They're grueling. They're taking a lot out of him. And you were one of the few people to say Burchell was washed up and that you know, Oscar Valdez would go through him. And it's kind of played out that way. Burchell looked unstoppable. They kind of fight the same, to be honest, man. Bella Blink says, Joet, I think she said, Joet had his cute little dog in the arena giving him luck. Yeah, by the way, yeah, Joet, if you're into French Bulldogs, he did bring his dog into the arena. So, yeah, she did catch that, man. That's pretty cool. All right, Drew, so you don't think they should fight immediately, but you're down with them fighting again?
Yeah.
Run PMC says 8-4 is only 2 rounds from a draw, and that fight was competitive. So I think a rematch is warranted. And I agree with you, Run. I definitely would like to see him run it back. My problem with the 126 division is that these guys, Galahad and the other guy, there's another guy out there on Eddie Hearn's Matchroom that we saw them. You were talking about those fights in the backyard. They have 2 of the belts of the titles. The UK fighters. I want to see some more Mexican versus featherweight action in the UK. I know they brought that guy Lara over to the UK, and he ended up like pulling off a humongous upset. So we have to wait for all that to play out. But I would not mind seeing Navarrete go across the pond. It could be a huge fight, or one of their fighters coming over from the UK over here. But like you said, it puts Top Rank in a weird position. Like, okay, they got to go through the stable of Top Rank guys. Who's next? Or do you just give them that rematch? It was a good fight. You just give them that.
I don't know. It's really hard right now because like Top Rank's starting to run out of fighters in some of these divisions and to make fights with. Like you're gonna have to start making big fights. Like they had no choice but to make the secure Harron fight and everything. Even though I don't think Secure Stevenson deserves a title shot with the way he fights, and shouldn't even be on a headliner because he puts people to sleep.
We're going to get to our prediction on that. But that's another person that keeps getting in the conversation with El Vaquero Navarrete, is that people say, look, Shakur only hung out at 126 for a very short stint. How would that have played out at 126 against his style? And now they're talking about, oh, come on, Navarrete, move up to 130. Like, come on, man. He just fought at 122 like a year ago or whatever, like not that long ago. That doesn't work well for a lot of those smaller fighters jumping up in weight really quick. It didn't work out for the guy from Michoacan, who I'm thinking about right now. Oh, man.
Well,
the guy who fought Gervonta Davis, that didn't work out for him. Leo Santa Cruz.
If you look at it like this, if you're not at these fights, to unify ain't happening, and there's no chance they're going to happen, while you in that division still, your next thing is to move up and see where you go. Because tell you the truth, if I'm going to stay at 126 for the rest of my career or for the foreseeable future and not try to unify, why am I here then? Like,
Right. Chicano Prophet, thanks for joining us. Salute. Dude, you're talking about unification, and this is like, I was going to save this for a little bit for the gossip segment, but your Dennis Ugas, man, he is effing pissed at the WBA, and the WBA is pissed off so many people. Let me play this clip, dude, because he's kind of went on a rant today. He wants the WBA to know that he should be fighting Errol Spence, and he ain't with this BS that they're going to have some Greek Olympian guy fight. They want to match him up against Spence. Let me play the audio on this because he's pissed, man. Is this audio playing or not? All right, well, it don't seem... here we go.
Respeto para mi país, para mi familia, para mi fan, para mi equipo, porque yo soy campeón. En mi primera defensa la acabo de ganar a una leyenda como Manny Pacquiao. Tengo una victoria sobre el campeón Yaman Yen y yo me hice supercampeón. Primero le gané a Bell y me elevaron a supercampeón cuando Pacquiao estaba fuera del deporte. Yo tengo 3 preguntas para el WBA. ¿Qué supercampeón en la historia del WBA ha tenido una pelea mandatoria? ¿Por qué de los 14 campeones del WBA ninguno tiene la pelea mandatoria? Solamente yo. Quiero saber por qué hay trato diferente conmigo. Y la tercera, respeto a todos los peleadores, pero Estañoni tiene 4 años de carrera, tiene 13 peleas. La victoria más grande de su carrera fue hace un mes y yo contra Ulome, que yo le gané hace 5 años. ¿Por qué? Yo estoy emocionado.
Yeah, okay. For people who don't speak Spanish necessarily, he's pissed off at the WBA. He wants to unify his title with Errol Spence. And he makes a valid point that he just recently defeated the legend in Manny Pacquiao. Why are you going to give this opportunity to somebody else? Like, the WBA has been screwing with a lot of people. Weren't they the ones that said they're going to get rid of some of these belts too? True?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, this, how is the WBA picking Errol Spence's guy when he doesn't have the belt, first of all? Second of all, Ugas represents your division at welterweight champion, represent your welterweight division as your champion. So at the end of the day, I don't get how they pick they're picking Errol Spence's opponent. I don't get that shit. Like, seriously, I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't get it either, man. But I mean, like you said, with the Navarrete thing, People that want to unify titles, I want to see unifications as much as possible. And then when you have your own sanctioning bodies cock blocking, man, like getting in the way of what champions want to fight each other, like that's what I want to see. And the same thing was playing out. Like, to be honest, the most exciting thing that happened on DAZN on Saturday to me was the fact that they brought Teofimo Lopez came in all the way, and we finally saw a confrontation between him and Haney. You know, you want to talk about people that should be unifying, and promotional companies getting in the way and sanctioning bodies getting in the way, man. This WBC franchise BS, that's a fucking mess in its own right, man. I see you shaking your head. Was that the most exciting thing that happened at the Garcia-Martin fight?
Not really, because it was on stage, most likely. Tell you the truth, these guys, all they did was just yap. That's all they did was yap, 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 yap. That's all they always been doing for the whole time they've been champions. Is yap, 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 yap. It's like, come on, man. That's all you guys done for over a year. All four of you guys, Garcia, Haney, Teofimo, Tank. But it's a shame, out of all these guys, who's been fighting? Tank. Even though you crushing the opponents in-house and everything. And Lomachenko just offstage and fought Nakatani and even dominated him and stopped him easily. And when Teofimo struggled against Nakatani. And when Anai's going to fight Comey next. Because when Haney trying to really try to call somebody out, doesn't think that they're going to respond, Lomachenko responds and says, step in my office, we'll make the fight happen. You stop talking shit and let's make the fight happen, because every time I step in to try to get you to fight me, you're nowhere to be found. And what happened after that? He disappeared. Didn't mention Lomachenko's name again. Then he goes along and says, oh, I want to fight. He fought that Lenore's fight. He almost gets knocked out in the 9th, 10th round and hells the guy for like an MMA or WWE for like over a minute and a half and everything. So at the end of the day, you got Bill Haney saying all this bullshit like they normally do. They try to say, oh, we contacted this guy. We contacted this guy. We contacted that guy. And then we say, and then at the end of the day, can I just say, I agree with Raw Boxing when it talks about fucking, is Devin Haney Promotions a ghost promotion? It fucking is. It's just a fucking, I got my own promotion, man. Where the fuck's the building at?
Let me ask you.
Located.
Let me just ask you straight up, Drew. Are you for team followers or team belts? Because that's what it came down to, man. I got more followers than you. I got more belts. Man. Who got the better argument?
At the end of the day, man.
Followers or belts?
These motherfuckers
Come on, followers or belts.
They know these motherfuckers do, because tell you the truth, that's all they're talking. Because number one, he's likely going to have a fight with JoJo. He still has a fucking fight with Kambosos. So what the fuck you guys are talking about making fights when you guys haven't fought your fights yet?
Yo.
And Teofimo's talking all this shit for a year.
But listen,
already,
they brought attention to themselves. That their little video was actually trending in boxing on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like it brought a lot of people to talk about that, the potential fight between them next year. I want to see it. Right now, we got on the workshop 135 that's already solid is Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero. By the way, Rolly Romero is one of my favorite trolls on the internet. He did that video. I don't have the clip, man. If you guys didn't see the video of him beating the crap out of a piñata. I don't know why I find Rolly Romero entertaining, including his tweets on Saturday late night talking about I'm banging strippers with no condoms. He's a fool, but he makes me laugh. I don't know. Here's something. Let me play a little clip of him, because he really is. He's full of himself. I'll tell you what, though. He really believes in himself. And that's admirable to an extent. Let me play this clip. Good old Raleigh Romero on the mic.
You feel you're still the bigger punch, from 47 and down? I know you said that in the past.
I'm the biggest puncher in the world under 147. The biggest puncher. There's no doubt about that. That's why, man, people are fucking terrified of my power. That's the reason why I have problems with my opponents, because they don't want to fight.
All right, man. He is the biggest puncher. They're terrified. They're terrified. I'm waiting for, if there was a comic that did impressions of boxers, that would be a really good impression to make. I see you shaking your head, man. But at least we're going to get that fight, right?
This guy got the fucking really beaming fucking look. And he's saying, I'm the baddest, hardest puncher in boxing, man. I got this. Shut the fuck up already. He can't even fucking fight.
By the way, we got somebody new. Shout out to Blue Corner Boxing. Thank you. He says Teofimo knocks out Haney. Teo's got the belts. Thank you for coming by. Run PMC says War Raleigh. By the way, Drew, here's the thing. I'm trying to figure out if the Latino community, Raleigh Romero is Cuban American, if they're going to stand behind Raleigh, if he's going to be able to rally the Latino community behind him. I have no clue if he'll be able to do that. I mean,
he'll rally the stripper community.
He does. I mean, he lets people know, man. He's into strippers, and I don't think he trains much, to be honest. He said he didn't need. According to him, he said this week, I don't need to train to knock out that midget. I'm paraphrasing, but shout out to G Funky. What's up, G Funky? Thank you for coming by. We're just talking about Raleigh Romero, the Teofimo versus Devin Haney showdown, staged or not. But let's get on to the main event on Saturday in Fresno, man, because I have friends that actually went, and there was a lot of disappointment in the Fresno community. First of all, although Robert Garcia had one of his fighters, Bam Rodriguez, who is the younger brother of Joshua Franco, put on a very dominant and impressive performance, his brother lost. And there was no urgency in the corner of his baby brother, not coming from the mouth of Robert Garcia. It's like Mikey Garcia did not know he was down in the cards. But he had a whole slew of problems, man. Sandor Martin, a European fringe level contender that they specifically picked out because they probably thought it would be an easy tune-up fight, right? Right? Matchroom, I mean, Matchroom invested $1.5 million in giving Mikey Garcia his purse, 1.5 to $150,000 for the guy from Barcelona. That's 10 times. 10 times, yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be a tune-up. I hear you laughing, man.
Yo, he came to fucking America from Spain for $150,000.
And you know what? Credit to him, dude.
Idiot.
But credit to him, because how many times this year have we heard people say, I can't fight because I have COVID? Right? Like, we've heard that internationally. We've heard it from the UK to whatnot, that I can't come for this fight. I came down with COVID, man. He came down in shape, in great, fantastic condition. He met Mikey Garcia at a catch weight. Remember, it's a catch weight. But Blue Corner Boxing right away, man. And this is what's on everybody's mind, is Mikey looked out of shape too, man. The jokes about the love handles, the lack of tightness around the waist and the chest, man. You could see that this is
waist.
Mikey Garcia has put on a lot of weight in the 20 months layoff. This is not his first layoff. He had a 2-year layoff because of promotional contract dispute with Top Rank. You got 24 months there. You got 20 here. He had another nearly year layoff. He's approaching, 34, 35? Man, was he just wrong to be thinking I can continue to take these long layoffs and come back just like Floyd Mayweather did in his 30s, retiring and coming back in the exact same shape, the same ring IQ? Like, this wasn't the Mikey Garcia that won 4 divisions, championships of 4 divisions, man. To me, he didn't even know he was losing losing the fight on the scorecards.
Oh man, that's my reply. Oh man, I'll be honest with you, man. I only had Mikey winning 2 rounds in this fight,
and even then I was nervous.
Sorry.
I was nervous. By the way, Chicano Prophet, dude, give us a call while the phone line is still open, because I heard a little bit of Chicano Prophet's theory, and I'm tripping on this theory, but I will give it some credence. I'm willing to listen to this theory that Mikey took a dive.
Laughed.
I think it's wild that Mikey took a dive for $1.5 million.
I fucking laughed.
But I'm willing to entertain. I mean, I've seen stranger shit like the electricity going out in Fresno where a minor league team plays. You know, and by the way, why is there dead grass all over a minor league team's outfield? Like, what the?
Well, we already know that fucking team didn't invest too much in the fucking baseball field.
All right, let's see what's going on. We got a phone call here.
Please don't let me, Johnny. Please don't let me, Johnny. Please don't let me, Johnny. Please don't let me, Johnny.
503, you're on the shoe shine.
What's happening? This is the Chicano Prophet, and I'm here to talk about the fix in Fresno.
Please do. Now, I heard you got a theory on Mikey Garcia taking a dive, but I'll give you the floor on this fantastic card or not so fantastic, depending on which way you look at it.
Well, I feel bad for those people that were in Fresno. All I can say is that, Mikey Garcia and Martin, they should consider themselves lucky that they weren't booed. That was a snoozer. It might have been out of pure respect for Mikey Garcia, because that's a big get for Fresno, middle of nowhere, with respect. But for them to get Mikey Garcia, they must have just been super happy to see the dude. But, if there are Mexicans there that want to see a fight, I think they were sorely disappointed. That was kind of a snoozer. But, yeah, man, I'm just, and like I said, I just want people to keep an open mind when I suggest this. This isn't something I was looking for. I'm not somebody who, reaches for things. But, boxing is corrupt by nature. There's historical precedent for people to take dives. It continues to happen. Fixes happen. And boxing doesn't just go from corrupt to uncorrupt. There'll always be the hooks of corruption in boxing. And we just don't act like it doesn't happen anymore. And I believe it can happen at a high profile. And I think that's what happened on Saturday night. I think Mikey Garcia went in there. He made weight. Yeah, he had a dad bod. But you know what? Here's some of the reasons that I believe it was a fix. One, and I do think that Mikey had excellent leg work still. Like, if you look at his leg work, it's very good. He's always taking a bunch of micro steps. He's always in position to be able to throw the 1-2, but he never quite pulls the trigger on it. Okay, he never cuts off the ring, but he has spring in his legs in the 9th and 10th round. You could see him almost running in place. The guy's got so much energy. So it wasn't like a stamina issue. I think Mikey has way too much skill in general to be able to make the weight, to have enough proper sparring and enough training. I think he has too much muscle memory to lose to a guy named Sandor Martin, who lost to Yigit, right? And even if, here's my thing too, like, even if he did lose the fight, it wasn't that wide. They could have just given it to Mikey. They should have given it to Mikey. Like, isn't cash cow privilege a thing? Haven't we seen the cash cow get the favorable decision time and time and time again, and now all of a sudden we don't see it? I think that was a bit suspicious.
But what is the motive? All right, look, if this really was a dive, what is the motive? Like, now he loses out this Regis Prograis right away responded on social media, man, there's no chance I'm fighting him. Like, that's out of the question now. Like, that was such a bad performance. There was a potential big money fight with Regis Prograis. I mean, like, what's your wild theory on that? Like, he took a dive to get Mayweather and Gervonta Davis to say, hey, this might be a guy we could fight and beat. Is that it?
Well, it's like, well, why is any fight fixed? There's money involved. You know what I'm saying? And why would he do it? Well, I got to say that Mikey is a guy who we all agree is there for money. Like, that's clear as hell to me, right? And, he sold out his O against Spence. He took this fight, but he waited out almost 2 years. Like you said, he waited for no reason other than to wait for a Manny Pacquiao fight to get paid. It didn't come to fruition. And he's sitting there, and all of a sudden now he's got an opportunity to possibly make some more money on the side somehow. I mean, the odds were 10-1. Like, this was not supposed to happen. And he really could come back and just spark out Martin, say it was a fluke, and be back in contention to fight anybody. He could probably fight Martin again in like 3-4 months, spark this guy out, and be right back where he was. So, to me, he's not really at that much of a loss. People say, oh, he lost all the big fights. He lost all the big fights next, but maybe he wants another tune-up to stay sharp. And to me, the guy looked like he hadn't even broken a sweat at the end of the fight. On top of that, too, if you're watching the fight, Mikey Garcia did a really good job of when Martin would try to escape to the left, he started finding his left hook. And it would stun Martin, but then he just dropped it for no reason, and then he would start using his right hand instead when Martin would break away. But he wasn't connecting with the right hand. And if his right hand was working, why wasn't he using his 1-2 down the pipe? Like, it's a standard punch. Like, when you're training for boxing, When you get your stance and you get your balance going, what you learn is the 1-2. That's the main thing. That's his bread and butter. It's his Sunday punch. He didn't use it, but he did use his weight at times to completely bully Martin over to the corner multiple times, but he didn't take advantage of it. I mean, he was the stronger guy for the first time in a while, and you could tell he knew how to use it, but he didn't really push the issue. And when have you seen Robert Garcia not yell at his fighter to do, hey, don't pay this dude any respect? You hear him say that to all his fighters.
It was weird. The instruction from the corner was rather surprising to me. I still don't know if I'm buying that that he took a dive, because I'm just trying to figure out a motive. Drew, what's your thought?
Like, you're saying cash cow privilege. Like, tell you the truth, he won 2 rounds, Mikey. And if they did get on the cash cow privilege, they're just gonna say, hey, I deserve a rematch because I really got the wrong end of the stick. I beat him. I actually won 10 rounds off him and everything, and that's just brings on a rematch, man. Another snooze on everything. So at the end of the day, the cash cow don't always get the privilege and everything, because, tell you the truth, Mikey only made 1.5 million. He's been out boxing for almost 2 years and everything. Nobody really gives a crap about Mikey Garcia right now. And probably don't even give a crap about him after this fight.
There's a lot of fights to be made, in my opinion, with Mikey Garcia.
Well, there was a whole handful,
right around that 140, 147.
And he screwed.
Exactly.
He fucked it up.
You mentioned Tank.
Let me know in the chat, guys, what you think, because I think it's well proven now that Mikey Garcia has no business at 147, especially looking at his build at 144. Completely ineffective against Spence. And at 147, I just don't see any career for him. I'm not saying, like, I know I put the title that should he retire, but quite honestly, I think, like, if he's really serious about this, he needs to, like, get a couple fights solidly at 140 where his body adjusts again. And I mean, what about all the big money at 135? What about him versus Teofimo? What about him versus Haney? What about him versus Ryan Garcia? What about him versus Lomachenko? That was a dream fight I didn't get to see at 135. Can he make that weight, or is it just he's just too old to make that weight?
I think, you know what, man? He had all these fights on the table, man, and like he let it go to waste and everything. He lost this fight. It's over. I don't really want to see Mikey Garcia again.
Damn.
He's done.
All right, so
I don't want to see him again.
Drew's answering my own title of the show tonight. Mikey should just retire. Chicano, I don't think you share that, do you? Do you share that opinion?
Well, I think it's up to Mikey Garcia. Like they say, it's hard to wake up in the morning and go running. When you wake up in silk pajamas, he's very comfortable. He seems like a guy who likes the cash flow that he can get from boxing. It's always been like that. But I don't think he's going to be able to make that big amount of money again unless it's like a kind of like a super fight against somebody like a Tank. Should he retire? I mean, it's really up to him. Like, I've stopped taking him seriously for a while now, man. He's just kind of a sideshow. I don't really think he's, to me, I was never all the way impressed with him to begin with. I thought he was slightly overrated.
Wow.
I thought he was like the socially acceptable Mexican to root for.
You know what? Like, I've always had those opinions for the other 4 division champion that came and emerged at the same time. And I'm talking about Adrian Broner. I always thought Adrian Broner was wildly overrated. He had a good win over DeMarco at 135. I felt like that's the weight he should have stayed at. And I've always felt the same way about Mikey Garcia. Like, why did he chase all the money, all the bags at these higher weights when he was clearly, a beast at 135? And there were so many, like, just thinking about him versus Lomachenko. Drew thinks he should retire. I think he should keep going, but, like, he's got to get committed to the sport again. Like, he's got to get committed to it, man. I know you know Santiago Media a little bit. I don't know if Santiago Media is still awake, man, but I'd like to know, like, I read this thing that they've got some great strength and conditioning coaches at Robert Garcia's camp. They had 6 fighters fight this weekend. Do they not work with Mikey?
Well, that was another part of my theory. Okay, he still made the weight comfortably. Everybody's talking about this dad bod, but he was in fighting shape. It's not like he abused his body like Tyson Fury. You mentioned earlier, he's been out of the ring for a long time before. He was in a good physical condition, in my opinion. Like, when I look at him, yeah, he had a dad bod, but he still made the weight. I mean, doesn't he have access to top quality sparring? And here's another thing I thought was weird.
Of course he does.
Well, why are you warming up on the pads with PETA? Like, this little, come up upstart wannabe guy who's trying to get credibility for not really coaching anybody yet, right? Like, why aren't you warming up with Robert Garcia? it didn't make sense. Like he wasn't getting warm with the correct person. There was a lot of things, and like we all said, Robert Garcia didn't yell at him like he should have. There was just a lot of things that didn't add up to me. If he was fight ready to make weight comfortably, and let's also keep in mind too that he could have made this weight at 147. If he was really that out of shape, why did he come in at 145? And then at the end he goes, "Oh, I would have benefited from 2 more rounds." I'm like, dude, you're Mikey Garcia against this nobody. You're the A side. If you wanted 12 rounds, you would have gotten them.
Interesting. Run PMC says Mikey works with strength coach Charles and has a personal chef. Yeah, I know that they've got some really great strength and conditioning coaches, a pair of them now that work for Robert Garcia's camp. And I just feel like, dude, are they yes men to Mikey because Mikey's the star of the stable? Are they yes men? Because he definitely doesn't look like he is committed. When you look at his physique, it looks like he's doing the bare minimum. Not that he had stamina issues, but I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on for them.
Mikey should just go back to play-by-play boxing. Just be on ESPN or DAZN or something. Just talk boxing, dude.
You know what, though? Run PMC makes a good point, man. Maybe at some point for Mikey, and this is the point, maybe it's time to break away from his family and his brother and have a new perspective and have somebody fresh in his corner. Maybe it's time for him to do what Deontay Wilder did and find somebody else to work with. Maybe it's just not, the chemistry isn't there anymore.
I'm going to make sure you don't spike my water.
Man, this has been a great talk, guys. Did you guys see this fight? I mean, I know we talked about the DAZN fight, and I know we talked about Top Rank, but we're talking about people that should be rematching. This is what I want to see. I want to see the T-Rex and this other dinosaur go at it again. If you didn't watch this, man, you got to look for this fight. The T-Rex dinosaur fight, now that shit was lit, man. And the power, and you know what? The power didn't go off during that fight, by the way. Hey, Chicano, you want to stay on the phone with us? We're going to do our prediction for Herring and Shakur Stevenson, because we started off the show talking about how bad Yoet Gonzalez looked against Shakur Stevenson. Made him look really, really average. Made easy work. And now, Yoet Gonzalez looks like a different guy. You know, like, what are we going to see this Saturday, man? Is Shakur Stevenson going to bore us to death with a majority decision? Drew, I'm going to hold that question for you. Is he going to bore us to death? Or is the Herring that just beat Carl Frampton, is he going to press this fight? Is he going to be the Marine that he is? It's supposed to be like a Marine holiday the day of the fight, where I don't know exactly which one it was, but over 200 Marines died, and he's going to dedicate this fight in remembrance of that, man. Like, I know Herring is really, really motivated. He's got Bomac. Of course, he's Crawford on his, as a training partner too. He had Amir Khan in camp to try to mirror the hand speed of little Shakur Stevenson. So I'm going to go with you since you're on the phone with us, Chicano. I'm going to give you your shot at a prediction here, man. Is Herring going to be able to pull it off at 34? Beat the young champ, 10 years his younger?
Man, I'll tell you, like, I think that the odds are a little bit wide. I think that this will be Shakur Stevenson's biggest test. I think that, like you mentioned, it's great that Herring has Bomac in his corner. Like, nobody knows Stevenson that well, outside of his own camp, as Bomac might, and Terrence. Like, they both know this kid. They both done work with him. They know intimately what his strengths and his weaknesses are. I think they're going to have a great game plan. I think that Herring is going to come in to win. And I still think that Shakur Stevenson is relatively untested. Like, I don't know what it's like for him when he starts getting hit with some heat. And so we might see that this weekend. And so, like, if I had to make a prediction, I would say that I would favor Shakur by decision. But it wouldn't surprise me if Herring made it a dogfight. And, I hate hedging bets, but you know what? This is actually a really good fight. This one kind of snuck up on me. And so my official prediction is Shakur by decision. But it wouldn't surprise me if Herring brought the heat and we saw some interesting stuff. And I'll listen in along the way. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, thanks for calling in, Chicano. Enjoy the fights this weekend. And don't forget Al Chile on Tuesdays, right? Tomorrow morning?
That's right, at 11 o'clock Pacific time.
All right, thanks a lot, Chicano Prophet. All right, Drew. So I know I saw you with disease, man, and I actually sharing the same opinion a lot with Chicano Prophet on this one. Listen, Devin Haney boxed beautifully against Jorge Linares. He did. For at least, 9 rounds?
Yeah.
And when Linares, the old dog, the old champion, pressed the fight, Devin Haney was in bad trouble, man. He was in trouble. He was wobbling around for those last 3 rounds. Yeah, he pitched almost a perfect shutout for 9-10 rounds, and then he's in serious trouble. If Herring wants to sit around and wait and play this pot shot game with Shakur Stevenson, I think Herring's going to lose. He's just going to lose if he fights the fight that Shakur wants to dictate with that boring-ass, pot shot style. He's going to lose. Shakur Stevenson's just too fast. But Herring, he surprised me with that fight with Carl Frampton, and actually building up all those fights along the way, even when he had COVID, I saw a different side of Herring. I really do believe that if he wants to win this fight, he can. And that's going to be a huge win for him, his legacy. He gets to fight Oscar Valdez, which is the fight I've told even in the ring with Christine, I'm rooting for Jamel because I want to see him fight Oscar Valdez. I want to see a unification between 2 valiant fighters. But if he plays Shakur Stevenson's fight, man, if he goes along with what Shakur wants to do, he's going to lose. They're probably going to bore people they're going to bore the fans on Saturday night along the way on ESPN Plus. We're going to be bored. This is a fight for Herring to lose, essentially. If he wants to press this, make it his fight, I think he's going to set Shakur Stevenson back. And not that it's going to derail Shakur Stevenson's career at all. I think he's going to be a champ at 130 eventually, and probably a champ at 135. But I would like to see Shakur Stevenson lose, man. He could use a slice of humble pie. I would really, really like to see that. That being said, man, I really don't know if Herring is going to fight that fight that I'm describing. So if I was going to put some safe money, I'd have to say Shakur Stevenson in a decision. And I sure hope that I'm wrong and Herring brings that fight to him, man. It'll be a great thing if he does, man. All right, Drew, that's my prediction. What's your take on Herring versus Shakur Stevenson?
I think Herring's going to put the pressure on him. And when he times him, he's going to be able to time Shakur. And after that, he hits him enough times, Shakur's not going to want to engage like he normally does. He's going to try and make it a bone fight after he realizes Herring can time him. Herring can counter him, and Herring's going to hit him. Like, I really think Shakur is going to keep backing up, trying to throw one punch, not trying to get hit. Name of the game is to get hit, is to hit, not to get hit. He just not get hit. And so I'm going with Jamal Herring by decision. I only think Shakur, with the style that he's going to fight in this fight, is only going to win him at no more than 2 rounds. I just don't think Shakur Stevenson is a big-time fighter because, again and again, he does not want to engage when he's supposed to, and he just throws one punch at a time. Nobody wants to see that, and that shouldn't even get you wins, but the guys that he's been fighting just aren't that good. And now he has to fight a champion now. A fight that I don't think he deserved one bit because of the way he fights. And he's not even a draw. Yeah. People were actually leaving halfway through one of his fights.
Yeah, I mentioned it. I mentioned it when he won the featherweight title against Yoel Gonzalez in Reno. Half the crowd was outside just partying, like literally, because the fight was so bad. Yeah. That's why I was kind of sour on Yoel Gonzalez because that was my impression of him was that one fight. But Drew, Blue Corner Boxing, shout out to them. He says Herring is the bigger fighter and should use his strengths to beat Shakur. Herring is much bigger, much taller, much stronger. And he actually, we're talking about getting in shape like Mikey Garcia. Like Herring is really open about when he drops weight and he posts pictures on social media. Like he cuts weight like incredibly, bro. He will cut to like and shred to like under 8% body fat, but still keep his everything he needs.
But you know what? That's gonna be a bigger issue for Shakur Stevenson to hit him because of the reach and the height. Yeah. He's never fought somebody that much bigger than him that he's gonna have to engage. He's gonna have to engage and get inside more and put himself at risk, which he does not do. Shakur Stevenson is a fighter that does not put himself at risk. He's never done it. And when people do it, he backs away and doesn't throw a punch. You're supposed to throw punches backing away. This is why Shakur Stevenson should not win this fight. He won't win this fight. And after he loses this fight, Shakur Stevenson, we're not going to really hear much about him afterwards. They're gonna say that he's a fraud, that he's just one of these guys that, hey, could have stepped up. He's just one of those guys that just could have been, but wasn't.
I won't go that far. I think they will rebuild him. Top Rank will rebuild him if he does lose this. But you're right, man. Everyone's right. And I should be picking Herring, because I'm convinced by everything everyone's been participating in the chat, on the phone calls. I agree with Chicano. I agree with you. He's the taller, stronger man. He melts down at 130, and he does it incredibly, which carries a lot of strength, man. He actually, I didn't think he would put away Carl Frampton, but he did. So that's something Shakur Stevenson absolutely needs to watch out for. And the other thing is, I haven't seen Shakur Stevenson carry power from featherweight up to 130 pounds. I just haven't. He's not a knockout artist. He's not a knockout artist. So maybe I should change my mind. I rarely do this mid-show. All right, I'm going with Herring. There it is. And we've been right like several weeks in a row with all the big fights. So, and by the way, if it pans out this way, this isn't the major upset. This isn't like what we saw this weekend. This is not going to be an upset. This is really a 50-50 fight. It really is. Both of these guys,
at all.
It's not going to be an upset. So I don't want to see that shit on social media. People saying, "Oh, Herring upset." I mean, Shakur Stevenson isn't flawless, and there's a lot of holes in a lot of these younger fighters' games, and that's why I appreciate when they bring fighters like Top Rank does a good job with quality matchmaking to make sure they're going to learn something from every single lesson. Don't miss Xander Zayas. We've had him on the show. He's been part of everyone. He's just a great kid, man. He's so humble. He's going to be fighting on that undercard, and he's really trying to be prospect of the year. And they've been doing a really good job making sure that in every single fight he learns something. I think that they screwed up with Edgar Berlanga recently, man. Drew, I think they screwed up there on the matchmaking.
Like that dude, I can't really commit to that dude. And the other thing is, it's not going to be an upset. It's just going to show Shakur Stevenson was all hype. It's a hype job.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out on Saturday night. Some quick gossip as we get ready to wrap the show up, Drew. There's a couple guys that had surgery this week. I mentioned Edgar Berlanga. Edgar Berlanga's having surgery on that torn bicep. That should put him out for actually a lot longer than he anticipates. The torn bicep thing, a lot of fighters have been afflicted by that, take up to a whole year to get over that. So Edgar Berlanga won't be in action. And if in case you missed it, go look for it. Ryan Garcia is a huge social media star, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. He wanted to make sure everybody knew that you had to pray for him today because he was getting that hand worked on today. See those pictures, Drew?
I pray you just retire.
Another guy you might be saying you pray he retires came out with a big statement today, and that's Chavez Jr. That's right. Cesar Chavez Jr. wants everyone to know he's aiming to make a comeback in December. One more fight for him. Who knows? Maybe he'll fight a YouTuber next. He's already working his way down the MMA line. Maybe Chavez
definitely should just retire. Maybe
Chavez Jr. and Jake Paul eventually.
I don't know. He should just retire and dress and go to cross-dressing. He already started it over with the high heels.
We're on PMC says, let's go war. JC Chavez Jr. Yeah, no, he's going to make a return in December against Lord knows who. Maybe he should fight like a hip-hop artist or something. Something where he could get a real easy win. All right, man. Peace out, fellas. Says Chicano Prophet. Thanks for coming by. Drew, your final thoughts?
God help us.
God help us. Is that your final thought?
Yeah.
All right, man. It's me, Dave from the 408. The shoes shine. Thank you, Philly Irish Drew Evo. We'll catch you guys next week. Let's go, Herring. And we'll see everyone next week. Thanks for coming by. Peace.